During the summer of 2003, events in the northeastern United States involving a strange, human-like creature sparked local media interest before an apparent blackout was enacted. Little or no information was left intact, as most online and written accounts of the creature were mysteriously destroyed. Primarily focused in rural New York State, and once found in Idaho, self-proclaimed witnesses told stories of an encounter with a creature of unknown origin. Emotions ranged from extremely traumatic levels of fright and discomfort to an almost childlike sense of playfulness and curiosity. While their published versions are no longer on record, the memories retained powerful. Several of the parties involved began looking for answers that year. In early 2006, the collaboration had accumulated nearly 24 documents dating between the 12th century and present day, spanning 4 continents. In almost all cases, the stories were identical. I've been in contact with a member of from this group, and was able to get some excerpts from their upcoming book. A Suicide Note, 1964. As I prepare to take my life, I feel it necessary to assuage any guilt or pain I may have introduced to this act. It is not the fault of anyone other than him, for once I awoke and felt his presence, and once I awoke and saw his form, and I woke once again and heard his voice, and looked into his eyes. I cannot sleep without fear of what I might awake to experience. I cannot ever awake. Goodbye. Found in the same wooden box were 2 empty envelopes addressed to William and Rose, and 1 loose personal letter with no envelope. Dearest Letty, I have prayed for you. He spoke your name. A journal entry, translated from Spanish, 1880. I have experienced the greatest terror. I have experienced the greatest terror. I have experienced the greatest terror. I can see his eyes when I close mine. They are hollow, black. They saw me, pierced me. Wet his hand. I will not sleep. His voice. Unintelligible text. A mariner's log, 1691. He came to be my slave. From the foot of my bed, I felt a sensation. He took everything. We must return to England. We will not return here again, at the request of the Rake. From a witness, 2006. It was 3 years ago. I had just returned from a trip from Niagara Falls with my family for the 4th of July. We were all very exhausted after a long day of driving. So my husband and I put the kids right to bed and called it a night. At 4 a.m., I woke up thinking my husband had gotten up to go use the bathroom. I used that moment to seal back the sheets, only to wake him in the process. I apologized and told him I thought he got out of bed. He gasped and pulled his feet up from the end of the bed so quickly his knee almost knocked me out of the bed. Then he grabbed me and said nothing. After adjusting to the dark for half a second, I was able to see the cause of the strange reaction. At the foot of the bed, sitting and facing away from us, there appeared to be a naked man, or a large hairless dog of some sort. Its body position was disturbing and unnatural, as if it was hit by a car or something. For some reason, I wasn't instantly frightened by it, but more concerned for its condition. At this point, I was somewhat under the assumption that we were supposed to help him. My husband was peering over his arm and knee, tucked into a fetal position, occasionally glancing at me before returning to the creature. In a flurry of motion, the creature scrambled around the side of the bed, and then crawled quickly in a flailing sort of motion right along the bed until it was less than a foot from my husband's face.
The creature was silent for about 30 seconds, or closer to 5. It seemed like it was a while, just looking at my husband. The creature placed his hand on his knee and ran into the hallway, leading into the kids' rooms. I screamed and ran for the light switch, planning to stop him before he hurt my children. When I got into the hallway, the light from the bedroom was enough to see it crouching and hunched over 20 feet away. It turned around and looked directly at me, covered in blood. I flipped the switch on the wall and saw my daughter Clara. The creature ran downstairs while my husband and I rushed to help our daughter. She was very badly injured and spoke once more in her short life. She said, "He is a Rake." My husband drove his car into the lake that night while rushing our daughter to the hospital. They did not survive. Being a small town, the news got around pretty quickly. The police were helpful at first, and the local newspaper took up interest as well. However, the story was never published, and the local television news never followed up either. For several months, my son Justin and I stayed in a hotel near my parents' house. After we decided to return home, I began looking for answers myself. I eventually located a man in the next town over who had a very similar story. We got in contact and began talking about our experiences. He knew 2 other people in New York who had seen the creature we now refer to as the Rake. It took the 4 of us about 2 solid years of hunting on the internet and writing letters to come up with a small collection of what we believe are accounts of the Rake. None of us gave any details, history, or follow-up. One journal entry, however, involving the creature in its first 3 pages, and never mentioned it again. A ship's log explained nothing of the encounter, only saying it was told to leave by the Rake. That was the last entry in the log. There were, however, many instances where the creature's visit was one of a series of visits with the same person. Multiple people also mentioned being spoken to, my daughter included. This led us to wonder if the Rake had visited any of us before our last encounter. I set up a digital recorder near my bed and left it running all night, every night for 2 weeks. I would tediously scan through the sounds of me rolling in my bed each day when I woke up. By the end of the 2nd week, I was quite used to the occasional sound of sleep while blurring through, the recording at 8 times normal speed. This still took an hour almost every day. On the first day of the 3rd week, I thought I heard something different. What I found was a shrill voice. It was the Rake. I can't listen to it long enough to even transcribe it. I haven't let anybody listen to it yet. All I know is that I've heard it before. And I now believe it spoke to me when I was sitting in front of my husband. I don't remember hearing anything at the time, but for some reason, the voice on the recorder brings me back to that moment. The thoughts that must have been going through my daughter's head made me very upset. I have not seen the Rake since he ruined my life, but I know he's been in my room while I slept. I know and fear one night I'll wake up to see him staring at me.